Hi there. The most important information, education that you can give a child before the child turns 8, more or less, depending, of course, on the individual children. But that little time span in the beginning is so crucial, as I'm sure we all know. But what are we doing about finding ways to teach these little developing brains, the first 8 years, the first 7 years, what are we actually doing so that we can give them a wonderful foundation of thinking?
We need help in packaging some of this insight for teachers who are really on the front lines every day.
Yeah.
You know, managing all these issues for these children, and we need help.
I think there is an awareness that these social emotional skills that we so desperately need kids to learn can be taught, can be learned, can be modeled. Education, understanding the science, understanding how it happens in early childhood has huge impacts down the line.
What are we actually doing so that we can give them neural patterns that will set a foundation of how to think for the rest of their lives?
Educating the human heart means starting right at the very beginning of life. Develop connections with the deep, deep structures in the brain that have got to do with whether or not we feel like we belong or whether or not we feel threatened. And so that children who grow up in environments which are threatening, where they see lots of angry faces, where they deal with lots of this kind of touch rather than that kind of touch, and when they're shouted at and so forth, by the time they reach school age, their brains are actually different.
As we know, the first 7 years will literally become 95% of the child's life. The first 7 years are the most important. What are we doing about it?
Every human, first 7 years is download a hypnosis. The brain of a child under 7 is in a lower vibrational frequency. I teach an infant these rules. I say, oh, you don't have to. First 7 years, they observe it and just download it. You just watch. You watch your parents, you watch your siblings, and your community. 95% of our life, this is a fact, comes from those programs in the subconscious. 7 years was the program period, and 95% of your life after that will be whatever that program is. So behavior is passed on, not like genes, it's passed on through families, but it's passed on through learning in families.
My whole life would have been a different story if I had been taught as a child, as I was growing up, if it had been put into my brain, my value system, my education, that the thoughts that I think are going to create the life that I will have.
Translate all of what you said about creativity and the process and the workings of the mind into the classroom and apply it to the actual education of the children.
I would have had a totally different life had I been taught that in my first 7 years. But of course there was absolutely nothing that was even mentioned about our thoughts, certainly not during my school career. No mention of thoughts and their value.
Everyone in a community has a vested interest in everyone else's children, because everyone else's children determine the next adult population that makes for a successful society.